On this episode of China Uncensored, China and the UN. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. The United Nations, a bastion of international cooperation, a testament to the relentless drive of the human will towards the establishment of a better world for all. And it's thanks to the tireless efforts of NGOs, non-governmental organizations around the world who work with the UN, operating free from direct government control, that the agenda of world peace and human rights can be advanced. Take China. Now, you all know how I feel about the Chinese Communist Party, but NGOs are able to make a difference, even in China. Like the China Association for Preservation and Development of Tibetan Culture, for example. The Chinese regime's rule over Tibet has violated human rights and damaged Tibetan culture. Thank God there are NGOs like the China Association for Preservation and Development of Tibetan Culture, which do their best to, I imagine, develop and probably preserve Tibetan culture. Here's a picture of its headquarters. Oh wow, look at that. Are those black Audis? That NGO must be doing pretty well for itself if their employees can afford the same cars used by government officials. Wasn't expecting that. Wait a minute. It's doing so well, it also got primo real estate property in the heart of Beijing. Apparently it's right next to the United Front Work Department headquarters. That's the department that manages and monitors people who aren't in the Communist Party, including minorities and overseas Chinese. Well, that means it's right across the street from Zhongnang High. That's a central leadership compound where China's top officials live and work. How did that NGO get to be in one of the most heavily guarded streets in Beijing? All of China, really. Well, when the New York Times tried to answer that question, their reporter was stopped from entering by a man dressed in black with an earpiece. Behind him stood a soldier. Oh, I know the answer. It's because, according to their own website, most of the NGO's leaders also hold high-ranking positions in the United Front Work Department and the Communist Party. And who says that government officials are lazy and corrupt? Look at these hard-working multitaskers. And it's so convenient because they can just walk across the street from their government jobs to their jobs at the non-governmental organizations. So, after a long day at the United Front Work Department, whose responsibilities include overseeing the implementation of party policy in the Tibetan areas of China, they have just a short walk to being a hypocrite. So it's an open secret that the Chinese Communist Party is behind several Chinese NGOs, and they use them to push government policy and intimidate and spy on dissidents abroad. Is that such a big deal? Because the UN knows how to handle these kinds of situations. Last week, at a meeting of the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva, a member of the China Association for Preservation and Development of Tibetan Culture started sneaking photos of T-Ana Wang, the daughter of medical doctor and Chinese democracy advocate Wang Bingjiang. He's currently serving a life sentence in China for trying to set up an opposition political party, or as the Chinese regime calls it, espionage and terrorism. Even after a security guard told the man to stop taking photos, he continued to secretly take pictures of her, a clear form of intimidation. Well, this time, the gloves came off, and the UN took a hard line with the NGO. They banned that man from attending further Human Rights Council sessions in Geneva. The NGO is still accredited and can still come. But I wouldn't want you to think that's how things usually happen at the UN Human Rights Council. No. Often, it's the official Chinese delegation that you have to watch out for. After all, the Chinese regime cares a lot about how the international community views them, and they won't hesitate to act like 5-year-olds to get the kind of respect they deserve. World Uyghur Congress President Rabia Kadir wants to talk at the council? Throw your microphone on the ground. Someone tries to expose the persecution of Falun Gong? Can't have that. Keep shouting point of order for 10 minutes until people start to laugh at you. And don't forget to take some photos of the guy giving the speech. That shows everyone you're a winner. And as just happened last week, when the council wants to have a minute of silence to commemorate the death of Chinese activist Cao Chun-li, who died from medical neglect after 6 months of detention in China after attempting to go to human rights-related training sponsored by the UN, argue and refuse to allow it. So clearly, China is having a hard time understanding the concept of human rights. not to worry, because just last November, a country was elected to the UN Human Rights Council that really gets and can communicate with China. That country is China. As a member of the Human Rights Council, China is sworn to uphold the highest standards in human rights, and I'm sure that China will make every effort to ensure that China starts improving their dismal human rights record. But China won't stop there. Just this January, China was elected to the executive board of the UNDP, and one of its main goals is building democratic societies. How long can China deny Chinese people democracy under pressure from China? I bet China will also really help out their fellow executive board member Iran with the Empower Women goal. Ah, the United Nations. I have every confidence in you. But just in case China ever fails to live up to the missions of the Human Rights and Democracy Building Councils, they'll have to deal with the scorn of the permanent members of the UN Security Council. And I know for a fact, China is nuts. Hey, Taiwan, remember when you were the China recognized by the UN to sit on the Security Council? Been a long time since 1971. So that's China's relations with the UN. Who else wants to weep with me?